Hi, Fabio from Hopsworks here, and today we're going to be taking a look at versioning with the Hopsworks Feature Store. Versioning is an important concept for any production-grade feature store because it allows you to make changes to features, feature groups, and data itself with always the confidence to be able to go back in and avoid breaking, let's say, downstream pipeline that rely on the existing data, on the existing processes. In Hopsworks, we have two main concepts of versioning, right? We have what we call schema versioning and what we call data versioning. Schema versioning represents all the metadata that a specific feature group, feature view, or training data set have, such as the features that are included in it, tags, all the type of metadata that is involved into that specific version. Data versioning represents the versioning of the actual data itself. This is specific to the offline storage for feature groups. When we store data in feature groups, we store that using Apache UDI. There's a set of capabilities that allows for two nice properties. One allows you to go back in time and update existing values. If you've made a mistake, or if you need to update specific values in the past, you can do that with the Hopsworks API. The other thing allows you to do, it allows you to go back in time and retrieve data as it was sometime in the past. This is an extremely powerful option. And we're going to be looking at later on when we're going to be looking at creating and recreating training data sets as they were, sometime in the past, for instance. So if we look at the UI, we can see actually both cases of versioning. So here I can see I have my feature group, and I can see the version number in my feature group. But I can also see in the activities the different commits that represent the different ingestions and different updates to the data that have happened on that specific feature group, right? So how does that happen in code? Let's have a look at it. If you have watched the other videos, you are familiar with the setup. We have a simple pandas data frame. We have created some features, and we have registered a feature group in it called version example version 1, right? So these are basically the set of features that are going to be included in that specific feature group, right? So we have made an insertion, and that's my first commit that you can see here. Created 3 rows, updated none, deleted none, right? So if you see actually the data that we wrote, there is actually a small issue, right? So if you can see here, this city is actually marked as to be in Sweden, but it should be actually in the US, right? This happens oftentimes. You have data, you have bad data that you're going to want to go and update to be able to actually train your model better, right? So what you can do, actually, you can go in and supply the same primary key. In our case, it's the credit card number for this specific feature group, and the event time, because that's the combination of the two make the unique key in the offline feature group. And we essentially updating those values to be, okay, now the country to be the US, and we're going to write the data into the feature group, right? What we'll actually do that actually create a second commit, and you can go back in the activity, and we can see that it creates a second commit. Here we are not updated, and we have not created any row, but we actually have updated those 3 rows, right? And so now the data is actually correct, and we can go and query, right? There are several ways you can query, and you can actually take advantage of these commits to be able to actually go back and do what we call time travel, right? So I have an example notebook here that we can look at the different values of the data at different point in time, right? So if I select the current version of the data, you can see that the data is correct. All 3 rows have US as country. And if I select the first commit that was written, so at 3:58 in the afternoon, you can see that this credit card number as the country to be Sweden, right? So this was the first commit with the bad data written into it, and then I can go on and query the update part. So you can see here at 4 in the afternoon, after my update was actually inserted, you can see that the country has actually changed, right? So this you can go back in time and retrieve the data as it was at different point in time and rebuild training data sets and recreate these kind of events. In any case, if you query the data without this as of option, you're always going to get back the most recent value of the data with all the updates that you apply on it. So that's data versioning. Let's go back to schema versioning, right? So when you create features, you then use them in different models, and you can check out the feature view video to see how you can actually leverage those features. But essentially, the features that are included in a feature group, they can potentially be used into different feature views and ultimately different models, right? And this is what happens here. I'm using this version example v1 in this profiles v1 feature view, so I can assume that all these features are actually being used in production right now, right? So when I want to make schema changes, there are two options I can do, right? I can make non-breaking changes, that could be appending a feature, or I can make breaking changes. If I make breaking changes, at that point, the APIs do not allow me to do so. I need to create a new version. I need to create version 2 of the API, right? So let's take a look at how to do that in Hopsworks. Let's do the first one, which is essentially looking at appending a new feature, right? So let's say I wanna add a feature called state, which represents the state where the city is within the US. I can actually call this append features, providing the new feature description that I wanna create, I wanna append, and I'm gonna basically append this feature to the existing feature group, right? If I go and query immediately, you can see that the version, the values of that feature is actually none, right? So I wanna go ahead and backfill that value, right? I'm gonna leverage the original data frame that I had from the original pandas data frame, and I'm gonna create a feature function that basically looks up in this dictionary the state of the city, and I'm gonna write it into the feature store. So let me go ahead and do that. What's gonna happen is basically it's gonna do a not data commit. It's gonna update the existing values, but append the additional add the additional values for the state, right? So as I said, so far we have not created created a new version. And we can actually see in the UI that the new feature, the new state is actually added to the same version 1, right? So this is non-breaking changes. And the last one I want to cover today is actually breaking changes. So let's say I either drop a feature or I want to modify the way a feature is actually computed. If I do that, my models downstream need to be retrained on either without a specific feature or with the new feature computed, right? So to be able to do that, I actually have to create a new version of that feature group, right? So what you can see here is that I retrieved this existing version 1 from the feature store. I want to drop, for instance, the country feature. So I'm going to select all the features but the country, and I'm going to create version 2 of that feature group. So we can see here version 2, and then I'm just going to call insert. What this is going to be doing is going to just write the data into the new version of the feature group, and you can see that in the UI. If I refresh the UI, you can see that now up here I have two different versions. I have version 1 being used in the profiles feature view, and then I have the new version, the latest one, that is currently not being used anywhere, and is ready to go for new models to train and so on. Thank you very much for listening, and we'll see you in the next video.